When I started in the industry in 1987, I was told the most expensive decision I would ever make in my entire life was the house that I would buy and live in. I'm here to tell you 33 years later of being in the financial services industry, most 401ks and 403bs are worth more than the homes of the owners. And even more importantly, for many, is Social Security, when it's taken, how it's elected, and how it's applied to your life. We're going to break down Social Security for you today on Consider This Program. Join us. Well, good morning and welcome back to Consider This Program. I'm your host, Joe Clark.
And I'm Grant Soliven.
We are talking about the practice retirement year. Grant is one of our senior advisors at the Financial Enhancement Group. I'm going to let him take the leeway here. What we're working on is a case study. We're not going to hit it yet. We may come back to it in a minute. I want to just talk broadly about Social Security, and then we'll try to apply it to the case if we have enough time that's left. So, Grant, there are three ages that are crucial in the Social Security world. What are they?
62, that's the earliest date you can withdraw Social Security.
And how many people do you suppose do that?
A large percentage of the American force.
According to the Social Security Administration, more than 70% of people will take their Social Security at age 62 the first minute they can get it, regardless of whether they're working, healthy, unhealthy, regardless of their tax bracket, regardless of what other assets they have. They just want the money. Mm-hmm. What's the next stage?
The next stage is what we call full retirement age, and it's based on the year you were born. And that can be from right now between age 66 and 67.
So most of us right now, Grant and I are both at 67, right? That's the most people who are listening to this program that are not already on the system. Your full retirement age is 67. So what does that mean?
I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead one more time.
What does it mean? When I look at Social Security and I study it, I know if I take it at 62, what happens?
If we take Social Security before full retirement age, we are actually reducing our long-term income by 6% per year we took it early.
Forever. And so if I get to 67, I'm 54, so it's only 13 years away. At my full retirement age, that number is just where the IRS says you don't get any extra, you don't lose any extra, right? What happens if I wait to the next age, and what is that age?
So if you wait to what I call the glorious 70, you're going to get the glorious 70. You get an additional 8% per year you waited till age 70. Now at age 70, it doesn't grow anymore. But one thing people often forget is that 8% also includes the cost of living adjustment as well.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So, all right, so go ahead and read the case study to us.
Yep, case study. We have a 57-year-old and a 59-year-old spouse.
So they're not eligible for Social Security yet. Neither are 62.
They've had 39 wonderful years of marriage. They're charitably inclined. Husband has a $600,000 401k, $185,000 IRA, $70,000 in a Roth. The wife is a retired nurse with $390,000 in a 403b.
And she's the older of the two.
She is the older of the two. She also has an IRA of $125,000, a Roth of $115,000. They have no debt. They're great stewards of their wealth, and they have $165,000 in the bank. They have 2 adult children, 1 has special needs, and they also need $7,500 a month net to maintain their standard of living.
Okay, so the key word is that's net. That's what they need to maintain their standard of living. Remember, this program is devoted to the practice retirement year. It has nothing to do with replacing a percentage of your income. That's for academics, right? What we're talking about is your unique situation, or in this case, this family's unique situation. They need $7,500. It doesn't matter that he made $140,000 a year or that he made $50,000 a year, right? You need 100% of your standard of living, which is a $7,500 that's net. Now, he's 57 and he's 59. How should they start thinking about Social Security, knowing that you just said that they could get it at 62? What should be going through their mind?
What I tell families, Joe, is as long as you're healthy, as long as you don't need the income, and as long as the system isn't changing or about to change, try to put yourself in a position to maximize income from assets and delay taking till age 70.
Okay, let me put that in my language. I know what you meant, right? So here's the problem with Social Security. I take care of more than 250 engineers. They know more about spreadsheets than I'm ever going to learn. In fact, many times I call them or Grant or Aaron and say, "Hey, what the heck is this all about?" Right? They know how to use those spreadsheets. And I will tell you with Social Security, it doesn't matter if you take it at 62, 67, or 70. Provided you have three things that you believe to be true. One, you have no other assets, right? What happens is people start looking at this in a silo investment thought process. And in Indiana, you all know what I mean by a silo, right? Well, you don't mix the beans and the corn, right? You're thinking about just Social Security. And if you have other assets, this doesn't, you just can't do that. You have to look at this on something different than a spreadsheet. Secondly, you have to agree to die on time. Social Security is designed for you, if you made it to age 60, to live to a life expectancy of 84 and a half. And the bottom line is most of us aren't willing to die on time. When we talk about life expectancy, remember you're competing against people who were at a bar at 3 o'clock last night. You're competing against people who didn't go to doctors or dentists or anything else, that didn't have access to health care that most of you that are listening to the program have probably had. So we always take life expectancy and add 5 years. That changes the Social Security dynamic entirely. But the other part of that is really understanding in the fiduciary focus how taxes come into play to this mess, right? So the third thing is assuming your health is in good order, right? The three rules for Social Security and when you take them are based on: one, are you willing to die on time at 84 and a half? Two, do you have any other substantial assets? This family clearly does, right? And third is that you don't think the tax code is going to change. So Grant used the word changed. We're always applying that to the tax code. The issue with Social Security is the people who are attaining it or getting ready to attain it may say all the things they want to say politically, but they vote, right? And messing with Social Security in Congress or the Senate or even in the White House is just a dangerous place to go. I don't foresee any major changes to how that is applied, to people that are probably 55 and over. I mean, if you're 45, maybe. I'm right on the cusp of that 54 thing, maybe. But here's the deal, and Grant talked about this in the elements in focus, but it's part of understanding the job of a fiduciary and the job of what we do at the Financial Enhancement Group. So one of the things that Grant will teach you is what's called Retirement V for Victory. And that's where we teach you to actually withdraw assets out of your accounts prior to taking Social Security. Now, you got to step back for a second and understand how odd that is. People will look at me and go, "Why doesn't anybody else say this?" Well, I can tell you why. We get paid to manage money, right? That's how you compensate us. The more you benefit, the more we benefit, right? So when you put money in an account, and then Grant helps you take the money out of the account, by definition, our income is going down, right? So there's a concept I call the wrong side of the trade. So every time a stock is bought or sold, by definition, there's a winner or a loser. Now, there could be a lot of different reasons to buy and sell, right? But either the stock went higher or it went lower. Either you were right to buy or you were right to sell. What happens with retirement, folks? What happens with retirement is you have two people on the wrong side of the trade. You've got your broker, you've got Fidelity, you've got the custodians, whoever they are, over here going, "I really don't want you to spend because I get paid to manage money." And on the other side of the coin, you have a fear or concern most of the time of running out of money. And it doesn't take a really hard sale to convince you that you have a rightful fear. If you listen to the first part of this program, I talked about part of the challenge of taking that $7,500 that this family needs and raising it with inflation all the way through the end of their life expectancy in both fixed and social expenditures. When you break them down, you can understand that retirement is attainable. You can have your life after work. You can enjoy more. But you've got to have somebody that helps you get the money out of the account appropriately instead of just sitting around and letting it grow and benefit Wall Street. We want it to benefit both parties, right? We want to get paid to do our job. Don't misunderstand. I'm philanthropic, but I get paid to work, right? But we want to be fiduciaries and we want to do the right thing and we want to help you do the right thing. All right. Grant, what's a mailbox check?
Mailbox check is what we would consider a pension check. So for those that had factory jobs or other jobs that produced an income the corporation provided for you in the form of a pension, that would be one mailbox check. Social Security counts as a mailbox check. And when you hit that beautiful age of 72, required minimum distributions become a mailbox check.
Cute little word, required, right? So why is that a problem? Why should, if I have other assets, should I delay Social Security just because I have other assets?
Absolutely. By delaying Social Security, you actually allow yourself to do good tax planning. And as Joe talked about earlier in this segment we're doing today, tax planning is different from tax reporting. And if you add Social Security income to that, to your 1040, most of the time you can't take it back. And so it really limits or hamstrings your ability to play the chess game with the IRS.
It reduces the amount of money that I'm able to take out of this tax-deferred assets at a lower tax rate, right? Remember, we want a bracket bump. We want to make sure, and that's where that retirement V for victory comes into play. If we need to take more money out of your IRA and out of your 401k up front to be able to get you to that maximum tax bracket that you're going to be trapped in, and we're going to talk in the next segment about what happens when one of the spouses pass away, right? But if we can figure out how to maximize that, then we have less money that we have in required minimum distributions when we've already determined we really don't need the extra income for the social needs. Your challenge with mailbox checks, and Social Security is one of them. It's one of those options that you can elect to say yes to or no to. By definition, when you add that to your tax return, it reduces the amount of money I can take out of the 401k. And that may sound like a good thing until you look at your financial journey, you look at what the long-term tax impact is. And if you play this out, this is, I don't mean offend the checker players, but this is not checkers, this is chess. And you can choose the game you want to play. We are not playing for one-hit wonders. We are playing the long game to try to figure out how to get you the best financial life that you can have going forward. 800-928-4001 or go to yourlifeafterwork.com. Grant, it is always my pleasure to have you around, and thank you all for taking the time to be here today.